Previously on
Protect the princess!
Huh? Rune! As I crept closer, nature's tranquility was suddenly shattered from the deafening cry of an animal. I hadn't the faintest idea what animal made such an agonizing sound, but I could tell something was wrong when no other sound followed. Rune! No! Please, no! I rose from the underbrush and strode towards the young tree that Rune sat under. Yeah! Rune!
Did you just use a scissor to cut a cat right now? Holy shit, bruh! What the fuck, girl? Brother, I think it's time I conclude this little game of ours.
Blinded by our desire to love Rune, several weeks later, my mother had a medical emergency. She had drunk tea, which was laced with a trace of a drug called Process 1, or P1 for short, which has powerful mana immunity boosting properties. However, there was a concentrated amount that was found in the tea, enough to kill a grown adult. Miraculously though, my mother's natural purified mana immunity had somehow forced her to regurgitate her drink. She soon collapsed afterwards, but the drug never made it beyond her espionage. Espionage? Was that say esophagus? What, esophagus I mean. Anyway, yeah, forgive me on that. Given the suspicious nature of my mother's poisoning, the peacekeepers were obliged to conduct a thorough investigation. Rune vanished from our residence not long after. Several days after she disappeared, the peacekeepers discovered an emptied Zivit's pharmacy labeled vial in Rune's room, and conclude that she's been smuggling P1 from the local pharmacy. According to the forensic experts, Rune had enough P1 to kill around 10 adults. Holy shit! Days after the Peacemaker discovered the vials of P1, several Zivit's enterprises executive and business people from the Outer Pole, who were considered highly valued clients, were reported to have died from P1 poisoning. Upon learning of their compatriot's death, the client's company, based in the second sector of the Outer Pole, called for a cessation to talk between themselves and Zivit's enterprise. This was a severe setback for my father, who devoted 4 years to planning on expansion into the second sector. Finally, the very next day, following the mass poisoning, a cargo ship pulled into a seaport near cked and unloaded the body of my little sister. What? We had an autopsy conducted the same day and discovered overwhelming amount of colored mana, which has oversaturated and overtaken her body purified mana production capabilities. The official cause of death was ruled as mana shock. Our inherent mana deficiency leads our bodies to treat natural mana as poison. Thus, any attempt to leave the Outer Pole for a local rich with mana would result in a slow, agonizing death. Even Rune would know this. which led me to believe that she couldn't have attempted to leave the continent willingly. The peacekeepers, had little to go on from where Rune was found at sea. The events leading up to their death. Everything. They closed to the matter, and it remains unresolved to this day. What was my little sister trying to do? Was someone out to kill her? At the time, all I had were questions with nobody around to answer them. Until I observed the fallout of Rune's death. Upon learning of her daughter's death, my mother's indomitable spirit finally broke, and she sank into a deep depression. She refused to eat anything. 9 months later, my fragile mother, Elen Zivitz, passed away. Since Rune's death, my father had confined himself to his personal laboratory in Zivitz Enterprise building. My family, as I knew it, had been destroyed. No, my family was destined for self-destruction. From the moment that Rune was born into this world, I finally realized the truth. Ever since Rune assaulted Marcos Grolis, she had been biding her time and blinding us to her ultimate act of destruction. Rune Zivitz, stigma of the Zivitz family, wove a beautifully deceptive web of affections and promises for 6 years, and swatted it all away in one fell swoop, revealing the truth in all of its terrific splendor. In order to thoroughly and effectively destroy the family that loved their wild child daughter, despite all her shortcomings, Rune Zivitz committed suicide. Why couldn't she accomplish this exact same task without killing herself? Because Rune Zivitz was death incarnate. And my dearly departed little sister.
Holy shit, bruh! Spearing the Shadow achievement beyond the lines of magic reason, chapter 5! What the fuck, dude? Okay, so what's the rune now then? What? So, since she's suicide, right? Are you telling me you guys bring her back to life or something? Huh? Anyway, pardon me, you wouldn't have to be that Albus Foster, would you?
Huh? Have we met?
No, but we're friends of Sara.
Sarah's friends? Unfortunately, Sara does not have any friends. As cruel as that may sound. Yes, it's impossible for it to have any friends.
He doesn't consider her to be human either. We have little time to dispense with technicalities and absolutes. Have him address our questions now and be done with it, yeah. We have not met before, Mr. Foster. We are mere travelers, When we arrived here yesterday, Sara went out on her way to accompany and guide us around the beautiful city. Although she may be a complete stranger, we are both quite fond of her. But yesterday, we learned that she was apprehended for offering charity to us from the man of mind of your employers. The head of Zivitz Enterprise personally informed us of his decision to follow through with her punishment.
Rune did inform me or that he had prior business to attend to before yesterday's board meeting, so he spoke with you about Sara.
Mr. Foster, if you could spare a moment of your time, we would greatly appreciate it. We have so many questions.
Unfortunately for you, other matters have left me destitute of all available time, so while you may have a multitude of questions concerning a subject proprietary to our company, I'm not at liberty to share such detail with any...
I hate to interrupt you, but I thought you should know that when we first met Sara, she introduced herself as Rune to both of us.
Huh? It did what? You mean to tell me, it couldn't be, but how?
This seemingly gentle but unexpectedly tight-lipped individual suddenly began stammering his sharp teeth. Speech! God, can't read at all, why? His reaction is similar to Rudolzivit's. I suppose anyone involved with Sara would react the same way. Thank you for the nudge, self-feed. Yeah, now it's my turn to follow through. I give you my word, Mr. Falster. If this matter does not pertain to your specifically in any way, we will take our leave. But if it does, I implore you to assist us in our plight. We need you to help us fill in the gaps of the jigsaw puzzle known as Sara. Please share what you know.
Then, I suggest we take this conversation elsewhere.
Progress at last! Our lodging is near the outskirts of the city. Would that be an appropriate setting to resume this conversation?
It is just two of you?
Yes, why?
Do not you not feel that it would be rather thoughtless to return to your lodging with a grown man, especially at this hour?
Thoughtless? Whatever might you mean? This guy! I do not believe that gender plays an especially important role in the company we keep, you know, regardless of the hour of the day. Yeah, don't worry.
I suppose this may be considered a difference in cultural perspectives. Nevertheless, I must decline your proposed local. I suggest we move to the water fountain in the central district. There will be a residual presence of people there, but it will be far easier to conduct a conversation without the noise of the tavern. I will meet you both there later. I must first finish my meal and humor that sneering waiter near that counter.
Contrary to appearance, he's frustratingly forward. Is he even gonna show up? That's the question. Selfie? What's the matter, princess?
I have a feeling that this local may be under a hierarchical system, where men are mainly in dominant positions of power.
Huh? That could be right. Personally, I find it hard to believe that they could have this advanced civilization if such a hierarchy were in place.
There's a chance though, Ritona. Without any skill in Minecraft or Battlecraft, men are physically more imposing than women. Rosingheim had a similar system in place long ago, before the advent of Minecraft.
Androcentrism. This day and age has no place for such a senseless ideology. That would explain the tone of his response to our initial inquiry. Everything I learned about cked gives the impression that I could liken to daily drinking. Fantastic, then foul. Is something on your mind, princess?
Well, the thought of being a girl in this sort of system is just intimidating to me.
The concept of violence is common in every culture, Selfina. But, at least in Rosenheim, violence never stemmed from the ideology of Chauvinism.
I know that, but it's just... Do you really think that we'll be able to see eye to eye on Sara? If Mr. Foster's approaching this from a position of dominance?
I see where you come from now, princess. In that event, I must insist that you approach from the position of the future queen of Rosenheim. If Albus Foster's reaction was any indication, I'm certain he will be willing to meet eye to eye with us and treat our common concern earnestly.
I I really hope he does.
Don't worry, princess. Got your back. Shit's go down, I'll whoop his ass!
I'm sorry for the delay.
Please, we are the one who inconveniencing you.
Out of morbid curiosity, who was it that informed you to seek me out?
Oh, we disclosed the identity of our informant.
I see, it was Hertzwan. Is he doing well?
That would depend on your definition of doing well. Yeah. If you consider his regular consumption of ale and alcohol, then I suppose he is doing well, yeah.
It sounds like the Hertzwan I know.
Would it be forward of me to presume that you haven't met with him for some time?
Not at all. It's true. We haven't seen each other for quite some time now. Things happened when we last met. In any case, I believe it would be rude of me to continue any further without a proper introduction. I'm Albus Falster, and I serve as the CTO of Zivis Enterprise.
I'm Ritona, a traveler.
I am Selphine, Ritona's fellow traveler companion. It's a pleasure to finally make your acquaintance.
Before we process or proceed any further, I had an unrelated question that I was hoping you could answer. I've been dying to have this answered since yesterday. What is the meaning of the three-letter term you spoke? Rune Zebes mentioned something similar during his introduction, but didn't elaborate.
Oh, CTO? It's shorthand for Chief Technology Officer. My role and title in Zivis Enterprise. I'm the lead developer and director of many of the company's technological projects.
Interesting, alright. Then why not just spell it out altogether, yeah?
Rudo is the Chief Executive Officer, yeah, which is the highest position of any company. Meaning that he is the only person in Zivis Enterprise who wields absolute authority.
That's quite a position. So he is akin to a kin. I suppose this abbreviated title works exactly the same as our title for royalty.
Chief Executive? Okay, so he's the king in the company then.
In a matter of speaking, he has the final say in everything, but he cannot have anyone who displeases him executed, you know?
I see now.
I don't suppose you come from a place with this sort of hierarchical system.
Huh?
In a matter of speaking, do forgive me for commenting, but if I am not mistaken, you appear much older than Rudo Zivitz. So how is it that he is allowed to wield absolute authority?
There's nothing to forgive, my dear. Many would agree, Rudo is quite young to be the CEO of an entire company, especially at the age of 22.
He's only 22?
And that was Ritona, my bad. Yeah, he's 3 years older than me. And already a king? It's not a king, it's just a...
He's 3 years older than Ritona.
That stern scroll on his face make him look twice as old.
He's very gifted at managing the company as its sole CEO, but he's also an avid learner, as well as open-minded. I, on the other hand, stick to what I know.
Mr. Foster?
Hmm?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this company really big? You make it sound like Rudo Zivit is carrying the weight of the world over his shoulders.
That's one way to put it. Zivis Enterprise is the largest conglomerate entity out of the all combined sectors in the outer pole.
So, is there a sort of rite of passage that CEOs have to go through in order for them to gain their position of power?
Rite of passage?
Yes, a rite of passage.
Not in particular. Yeah, usually there's a party to commemorate every promotion, you know, if that's what you're referring to.
party?
It's a celebratory event, you know?
Well, that's not exactly what I thought it meant. Then I'll try to elaborate. So, during our travels, we came across a certain kingdom. And in this kingdom, they have a rite of passage known as the Path Down. Path Down is when the life experiences and wisdom of former rulers are passed down to each successive generation's ruler. It is said that the wisdom of these past rulers are inherited by each generation's heir to the throne. Historically, the region of each monarch has been long and prosperous because of this. And with the prosperity comes a sense of pacification and unity amongst the populace of the kingdom for each and every success generation.
Which is our fucking kingdom, yeah.
You're not joking, are you?
I am not. Which is why I was curious as to whether or not the current ruler, the CEO, has undergone any similar rite in order to attain the power that he has now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but do these past rulers somehow educate and groom their heirs' judgments in order to instill a sense of proper rulership? Through books, perhaps?
In a way, I suppose you could say that the past rulers guide the heirs in some way, but in a more direct manner than just education or grooming. If I had a liking to something, I would say it's like the act of directly passing down those life experience and wisdom.
Albus tilted his head at an angle that shrieked up skepticism.
Direct transmission without the investment of time and necessary for education or grooming? I don't believe that's even possible. Not for the people of the Outer Pole, at least. We can only express ourselves through actions and speech, but not through indirect means. And time is certainly a necessary factor for both. What you are suggesting is the direct and immediate transmission of life experiences and wisdom, without receptant having experienced either themselves. And if I surmise your question correctly, Rudolzivus did not undergo a rite of passage for his power. It's not possible for the people of the Outer Pole. Why would you ask such a question, Miss Selphane?
Well, that's because
we are both on a journey of enlightenment, Mr. Foster. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we are learning about all sorts of cultural differences that we've experienced thus far. And observing how much or how little in common our homeland has with the rest of the world, we wanted to see if your culture shared a similar rite of passage with another nations, you know what I'm saying?
That sounds like quite an undertaking, exploring the entire world, especially in this day of age. I envy you both. If my life wasn't bound to the Outer Pole, perhaps I would have gone out and explored the world, as you two have. But, I digress. Let's get to the meat of the matter, shall we? For confirmation's sake, the two of you audibly heard Sara introduce herself as Rune, correct?
Yes. Did you know the real Rune, Mr. Foster?
Did I know her? Of course I did. I was like an uncle to her, and she was like a niece to me. I was a close confident and good friend to both Rudo and Rune's father, said Zivitz. We both built Zivitz Enterprises from the ground up.
Impressive! Albus Foster is like an advisor to the company's king. How did Hertzwan ever come to earn the acquaintance of a man of such quality?
Was he a good friend, Mr. Foster?
Yes, he passed away 3 years ago.
Of natural
causes? His son is only 22 years old, you know, so I would imagine he was at least middle-aged.
Yeah. That story takes some dedication to get through.
Then, could you at least help us establish the relationship between Rune and Sara? Are they one and the same?
I agree, Mr. Falster. If you could offer your insight on this matter, we would be in debt to you, bruh. Can you please tell us everything you know about Sara? Who is she really? Is Sara even her real name?
Her real name is... What Sara has is a unique keyword in what you would normally presume as a name. I wouldn't classify the keyword as a name in a sense that parents would give to their children.
Do you call her an object and deem her name as a keyword because she is bound and in servitude?
I beg your pardon?
As we stated before, we are travelers and are completely unfamiliar to custom and practices of the outer pole. But from where we hail, the cultural practice of forced servitude and slavery has been reduced to a nightmarish myth that was practiced in the days of yore. That is the only logical conclusion that we have both reached, considering how both you and Riddle Zebus regard Sara as an object.
I wish I could have seen where it was you both hailed from. I'm certain it's a beautiful and pure place. I apologize, but this is nothing but an unfortunate misunderstanding. Sara is neither bound, nor is it in servitude. Forced servitude and slavery were both outlawed from the outer pole some decades ago. But fortunately, some people do continue the practice to this day in secrecy, and in the most inconceivable ways.
Then why do you and your leader refer to Sara as an object, huh?
Because, in all honesty, she is an object, in every sense in the world.
The fuck is that supposed to mean?
You ask why we regard her identifier as a keyword, correct? Both Rudolph and I refer to it as Sara, because that name is shortened form for her true identifying keyword. Sara, Snap's Architecture Review and Assessment.
What? What?
During the conception stage, we were provided with a report with that very title, followed by an acronym of the title. That is why Sara cannot be considered a name. It is a shorthand keyword.
The fuck are you... What? Did you just say... conception? What could he possibly mean by conception?
I don't understand.
When Sid Zevis was still alive and the CEO of Zevis Enterprise, he conceived a genius method of excavating the lethal mana mines of the outer pole. Sara is a product of his conception. Sara is a machine.
Say what?